Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Itaya, and I'm excited to be here today. It's such a wonderful Monday morning, the 22nd of March, 2021. And I'm sure you're excited as much as I am, and I believe you should be excited as much as I am. We are having a fantastic time today. We'll be talking about something that will interest you, that would affect you, and probably make you cause impact everywhere you go. We're streaming here today from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to Nigeria, to West Africa, and to the entire world. Ladies and gentlemen, do not miss the show today. Tell someone to tell someone to tell someone that it's time for the Good Morning Education Show. And without wasting much time, I need to tell you on the show, we're going to be taking a review on the news within and around the world of education. We're not just going to stop there. We're also going to be talking about conversations that matter, and I will expect you to join us in the conversation. Please, wherever you're joining us from, please do let us know your name. Tell us where you're streaming from. Tell us your location. And of course, feel free to contribute to the conversation of the day. Don't stop there. Also ask questions if you have. And of course, we're going to have a great time together. It's just going to be a great time. We say it on the show. When we start, we say it when we end. We say it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Let me bring one of our analysts and guests in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Timmy. Good morning, world. Good morning to all our viewers out there. It's beautiful to be back here.
Fantastic.
It's beautiful to be back on the dial.
Fantastic. And like I told the guests, I told our audience that we're going to be having a great time on the show today, and we will be looking at the conversations within the world of education. Right about now, while we wait for the others to join us, we're going to be talking about some items that make the headline news. Are you ready, Fee? Are you ready? All right. So we're starting with the news from ASU. Hello?
Yeah,
Are you there?
Yes,
Hello?
I'm here. Hello,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. So we have a news online, right? Hello?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The government says ASU demands can't be met now. Well, that's not cheering news. That's sad to know, and that's like ahead. The ASU federal government absurd tango has been on for a while, and now getting something this specific, this is like saying, well, you guys just to do in the long holiday. We meet your now. It's not very cheering. Not something. It's not something that we as a nation want to wake up to. Can finally put the differences aside and are able to reach a conclusion.
Fantastic. We saw this coming last week where we had the conversation that there's a possibility that ASU might go back to the previous strike action, and this is coming on the heels of that. But let's just have another another headline. It says Enugu community lament over dilapidated school. Are you there, Spain? Are you there? Enugu community lament over dilapidated school classes. And this is coming on as a headline because the community itself is especially the local government, the local government authorities should be able to weigh in on this, especially the fact that very soon we will be getting into the seasons for rain, and I can only imagine the horror and the discomfort that students might have to face when it comes to being in a classroom or being in a school that you don't totally have good infrastructure and good facility. Schools with open roof, schools with no windows, schools with issues can actually make learning a little bit more difficult. Finn, welcome back. We're talking about the current headline. It speaks about a community in Enugu lamenting over the dilapidated school classes.
Yeah, I'm sure this is something that runs through the entire country from whichever states, whichever communities that we get to. This is a recurring issue all over the country. And really, coming from on the heels of the federal government as to the pronouncement of the federal government on meeting ASU's demands, and then it kind of wants to give one that foreboding and overshadowing feeling of really what's the future for our education. But it's time that the system is consciously prepared and planned. We shouldn't be having, since 2021, we shouldn't be having issues of dilapidated school classes. In some of those communities, there are no classes at all. So even talk about them being dilapidated. Some of the kids have to take lessons under trees, out in the open, on fields, and really we want to compete on the global stage with places where the system is up and running and things are fine. We really need to reorganize and prioritize what it is we lay emphasis on in this country, so that news like this becomes pushed out completely from our headlines. Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Akimi?
All right.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is from my end. I'm not hearing you.
Hello, Titi. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Rotimi. Good morning, Fee. How you doing?
Good morning. Very, very well.
I hope you had a restful weekend. Rotimi, I can see your weekend was busy with the flip chart in the background. Are you trying to tell us you spent the whole weekend brainstorming? And those of us that spent it eating.
You said what?
I said I can see that you spent your whole weekend brainstorming with your flip chart in your background.
Your eyes, Titi, your eyes. All right, so we're having a headline and talking about BSF donating wash facilities to 3 public secondary schools in Enugu. Victims support or Foundation for Violence Victim Support something. That's what BSF is. That's the headline for that. What's your take on that?
I mean, I think it's a good one. You know that when we did the training with the Lagos State, the main issues with the COVID was the fact that a lot of those schools don't have these wash facilities. They don't have water, not to talk of sinks and a lot of those things. And those are the basic for keeping people safe during this time. So it's good that various people have risen up, because there's also another one of Dangote Foundation. So various people have risen up to help the school. We know that the funding, the government doesn't have the funding to support them. So we are very happy for corporates and the community supporting the schools to keep the children safe. So well done to BSF.
And another thing that I think that just in response to that, it would really be lovely to see the possibility of if there was like a window or a calendar period where people are encouraged to more or less give to support or develop education. It might be a lot easier because everybody would now focus that, it's like, when you have a football transfer season or transfer window. If, for example, we had maybe the month of May as the month where really everybody drives the support to donate, to help, to build, and all those things. It now makes it, the way people plan for Mother's Day, people plan for Christmas, people plan for all those things. It will most likely encourage people. But once it's just anytime, anywhere, anytime in the year, people do not get to build that readiness. Schools themselves need to reach out on the need and all those things. What do you think about that?
I think that's a fantastic idea. When we have seasons where we do a major fundraising to support schools, especially schools in the public sector, and people know how it's being used. I think the main issue with Nigeria generally is the transparency of the fundraising process, as well as the transparency of how the funds are being used. Which is why I like a lot of BSF, COCAVID, where they give you picture evidence, they publish how and each person that got the funds, and that's really how it's done in countries that are pushing transparency. Everything you get, you put it out there. Everybody knows. They can actually go there and see how it's done. So that transparency then encourages more people to contribute and to donate, and we need alternative sources of funding in the education space. I saw one of the headlines saying that ASU cannot meet the demands of the government cannot meet the demands of ASU. I mean that one is not news. Everybody is currently going through major I don't want to say recession. So people have had to look to the private sector for funding. Nigeria needed funding before COVID. So how much more now? So we really need ways of getting a lot of funding into the sector.
All right. We have Union Life VC wins 38,000 euros Global Biodiversity Information Facility grant.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Let's hope that what the fund is for is what it will be used for. If eventually we can have the we have their biodiversity, maybe they have a lab or they have that function working, then we can truly begin to see our institutions of higher learning becoming what they should be. Not just we have issues with strike today, and then we are teaching a lot of theories. People are coming out of turning out students every year who really cannot stand to the test of what they have been taught. They cannot display the knowledge and the skills that they claim to have been taught. So it's a win for UNILAG. It's a win for higher education. And we're hoping that in a very short time, we're going to see the results of this.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Ugochi, the safety chick, to the show this morning. And of course, the One Woman Republic, Okenfa Jai KK. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Timmy. Good morning, V. Good morning, Adeosi and Mrs. Ajay. Good morning to all our viewers also.
Fantastic, fantastic.
All right. I wanted to comment on the grant, and I'm happy that this is in the news because, we're talking about looking for alternative ways to fund various things. And I think it's important that with the way that the world has gone global, for not just for various universities doing various projects, to constantly be looking for for grants, because the more your school does is able to access this grant, you're able to do more, then you'll be able to access even bigger grants. And already people in academia already have the framework to do this, so it's just really more working with the relevant business units, or should I companies, that would even just make this thing more applicable in our current environment. So I think it's a laudable thing, and we want to see more of it. And maybe it's currently being done, but it's quiet. Maybe more people knowing that, oh, you know what, our university is doing something like this. Let's look for grants that are supporting things like this, or these are the kind of grants that are available. What projects can we do that will help us have access to this grant? Because it helps, all round. I think so. For me, it's a good thing.
Thank you. All right. So we have what we call the COVID-19 scare. Yabatech to resume physical academic activities. I'm sure Safety Chick would like to say something about that.
Okay, so the thing is, by now, everybody should know what to do really about COVID. We've been living with COVID for over a year now. So to some extent, institutions, individuals should be able to put things in place for their own personal safety, and also for those that enter within their sphere of influence. So them resuming physical academic activities, we cannot stop them because education is actually necessary. It's important that education should continue. However, they need to ensure that people are able to comply. They need to find a way. If you look around today, you see that a lot of people are not complying as much, but they should look for a way to ensure compliance. And interestingly, you would go to some places and compliance is almost at 100%, and you go to some other institutions and organizations and it's not. So what are those organizations that are doing almost 100% doing well? So institutions, organizations should know how to ensure that the people within their sphere of influence comply.
Fantastic. KK, would you like to say something about that, KK?
I think, good morning, everyone. Ugochi honestly pretty much covered it. So yeah, I'm good with Ugochi.
All right, thank you so much. We'll take maybe one more news and then we'll head to the conversation of the day. So just to allay our fears, ASU denies fresh notice to shut down universities. Why are you laughing?
Thank God for that.
Why did they resume?
KK in a red dress. Oh my God, this is lovely. Um, so next one says Akeredolu approves 360 million naira for WAEC fees in Ondo public schools. 360 million naira. KK, say something about this now. Let's launch your.
No, no, say something
Yes,
about it.
yes, yes,
I refuse to. No.
yes, yes, it was. Yeah, your national camera, international news. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting all the way from West Africa. KK the building. Okay.
I mean, to be honest, he did say that it will be paid directly to WAEC and it will be accounted for. But I mean, it's a good thing, to be honest, if it would be used appropriately. And the fact that the parents don't have to pay for WAEC fees, I think it's a good thing. But again, we need to think sustainability. So if we do it once and then we don't do it again, what's the point, right? So, but I mean, let's see, how far this will go. But definitely, it's a commendable gesture. We just hope that it can continue. It's sustainable. It can continue, and because I mean, it's a good thing, to be honest. It's a good thing. So let's just hope that it's something that can continue. That's it from me.
I don't want to waste the outfit, so you must say something. Eh, all right, so we're coming to the conversation of the day, and I believe everybody's eager and waiting. We're talking today about how to raise, and nurture creative children. How to raise and nurture creative children. I believe that this is a conversation that parents should be interested in. This is a conversation that educators all over at all levels should be interested in. And I'm excited that we have able people in the house who are going to share their views and dimensions of what to do to getting this to happen. So let's talk about that. Raising children is something, nurturing them is another, but making sure that we are talking about raising and nurturing creative children, creative people. What exactly does it require? What exactly does it take? What exactly does it typify? So we're going to start with Titi, then I'm going to move to KK, then I'm coming to Finn, then I'm coming to our safety queen, safety chick. All right, so Titi, could you start with us for the topic we're talking about today? Titi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Um, I don't. I think every child kind of is born creative. Because what does creativity really mean? Creativity is the ability to. I don't want to say create something because that would be sounding like my son when you ask him to write. When you ask him to when you ask him to define something, he will tell you that mommy creativity is being creative, and then you roll you roll your eyes at him. But like I was saying, I think most children are born creative. When you see them when they are playing, you see them when they put things together. Trying to form something out of nothing or make have an idea of the pattern in something. So that's really about creativity. So how do we nurture it? It's when you don't force them to think in a box, and when you expose them to a number of things, because sometimes creativity is like joining the dots. So if you want a child to be creative, instead of giving them a picture of something and putting the materials, you just give them the materials and let them express themselves. So when we start out in preschool, a lot of times we kind of nurture it in the beginning. It's as a child goes throughout life, then we now start giving them a fixed box that they must do this particular thing, and then the feedback that we give them makes it seem as if your something doesn't fit into the box, then it's wrong. So just to go back and just say the key things, I think it's number one, it's letting children have lots of exposure, lots of experiences. It allows them to be creative. So when you're a parent and you take your child to the museum, to see this, or take them to an art fair, or take them to experience making pottery, or take them to experience making art, or take them to experience doing sewing. Every experience adds to your creativity. Every diverse exposure, as against it only being taking them for coding class, taking them for robotics, which are fixed things. But when you allow them to do different things, learning to help them to learn baking, a lot of anything that is, do you understand, like an experience. When when your child is living on the island or the mainland, and you actually take them to the beach, a lot of our experiences are what enables our creativity. I know that when people travel, some of them, all they think about is going shopping. But when you actually take your child out, expose them to a lot of things, it actually nurtures creativity. It really nurtures. So for me, one of the easiest ways to nurture the creativity in your child is to expose them to different, diverse experiences, and not try to put them in a box. Not try to say, because everybody drew this thing like this is how it must be. Not keep them within the lines, drawing and shading within the lines. So let me attack from that angle and leave my other colleagues to do justice to the other bit.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And of course, I said I was going to go to KK and then come to Finn and then come to Safety Chick. So KK, over to you.
I mean, when we talk about creativity, what we simply mean is doing something differently. That honestly is what creativity is, right? And it starts in your thoughts, right? And so people need to be in a position, be in a place where they're allowed to actually be free with their thoughts and consequently with their actions, right? So that's creativity. So when we look at the education sector, for example, creativity will have to start with the teacher, right? If I do not show you how to add one and one, you might not realize that adding one and one is a thing. So it's important that as teachers, as educators, we understand that we cannot give what we do not have. If we are not creative in ourselves, if our minds are not open to the possibilities in the realm of creativity, then we will not encourage that sort of thing in our classrooms. Because creativity, it throws away the scheme of work, right? It throws away a teacher's carefully laid out plans. So when a child is creative in the classroom, they're not going to fit in the box that the teacher has put them in, because you cannot determine where creativity goes to, right? So that's what we need to be looking at. We need to be saying to ourselves in the education sector, how can we truly, and I made a post about this morning, how can we encourage creativity? How can we allow the students to be truly free? How do we guide them into the realms of creativity such that they understand how to manage it? Because if they cannot manage it, that's where the problem comes from, right? So again, it starts with the teacher. How do we as teachers understand the fact that I'm looking at a phone, and it's not just a phone, right? I see it beyond a phone, and I can explain it beyond the literal meaning to a child. I can take them into depths that they may not necessarily have seen or even imagined. It's how do you help the children to use visualization techniques in the classroom? How do you help them to just get out of that space and say, imagine, and actually have them imagine it, right? But like I said, it's tough because it's in 10,000 different directions, right? But if we do want creativity to begin to happen, if we do want innovation to be the order of the day in our society, then we're going to have to break down the educational construct that says children need to be seen and not heard. Children need to be told what to do and not do, not have a mind of their own to move to the next realm. So that's hello, Mr. Rotimi, I'm done speaking.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I love the way you said, how do we get them to, and then you paused it with that point, how do we get them to imagine? You know, you didn't just say like a word within a sentence. That is instructive, because I think that imagination must be a command for every educator and a teacher out there, because we tend to skip that part of the student reality, getting them to imagine, you know, getting them to imagine. That's so profound. I'm giving you a round of applause, Dr. KK. And you know, no, one more time, round of applause, round of applause. Get them to imagine how things can be. You know, that takes me to Fee.
Okay, so for me, creativity is a mix of solution finding and risk taking. So we're looking at, um, and this is where I agree with what Mrs. Ajayi said, that it starts with the instructor, the teacher, the parents, those that are responsible for the formative years of children. Many of us are not really comfortable with risk. We just like to stay in the comfort zone. We like to stay where it is, where we're sure of what is going to happen. Certainty is sure. But creativity has to do with a lot of risk taking. You have to be able to get out of that place of assurances and say, look, we're going to disrupt things. We're going to shake up the way things are being done around here to find solutions. We're going to question, we're going to query. Does it always have to be this way? Does it always have to be what it has been said to be? Are there other ways of reaching a conclusion? Are there other ways around what we have been told it is? So for me, we need to get to a point where teachers, parents, caregivers, instructors, we need to get to that point where we ourselves move out of that place where we're very comfortable with the way things have been, where we're very, we're formed in our thinking, and we're able to say, let's take some risk, let's find out what's the worst that could happen if we take this apart and try to reconstruct it.
Thank you so much, Rain. And that takes us to Safety Chick. Safety Chick, are you there?
Yes, I am, sir. Okay,
All right.
so for me, I'll come from the angle of, because the topic is raising and nurturing creative children. So maybe there is something that your child, this one now is for parents. Maybe there is something your child does that you do not like. Maybe the child is always more opinionated, or maybe they're always taking apart their toys. Identify the things that you know they do that you do not like, or maybe the things that you think that other children are not doing it. So why are they doing it? And ask yourself, what advantage could there be in this ability of this child? So this child is not just being opinionated. Maybe we can tone it down to being more assertive. Maybe we can have a family debate and give them real ideas, real topics to actually go and think and ideate and come and present, so that we're channeling that thing in a positive way. So it's also the part of taking about toys and taking apart toys rather. And if they do that often, you could be like, okay, so what other ways, what advantage could there be in taking apart and building things? Or maybe this is giving a pointer to them being creative, being able to maybe create toys or stuff like that. So when you see
Yeah.
children do things that for you it seems negative, because it may not necessarily be negative, you just need to find the positive thing, positive ability in that thing. See how to hone it, see how to give them games, extracurricular activities, things that would make that thing to shine in a more positive light. And you see that because you're enabling them to use it positively, it's going to reduce the negative aspects of things. So I think that's another way to nurture creative children.
Thank you very much.
Rotimi, I wanted to, as Safety Chick was saying, I something came to mind, or one of the very important things that actually nurtures creativity that all of us can relate with from our childhood: free time.
Mm.
free time. You know, one of the things that parents do badly now is that we try to choke up all our children's time, you know, and we don't let them give free time. Free time for me is free time without gadget. Remember that all our creativeness was when we were outside. Nothing, no toy, no nothing. It's just us outside. That's when we the girls we bake cake with all sorts of sand and all the things. That's when we will take empty sugar container, becomes cars, and we do racing. That's when we'll get, you know, one tire that is on the floor, and then we find one way of turning it into something, something, something. That's when we will imagine, because we don't, you know, I think that's why we kind of are very creative. Honestly, if I tell you some of the things I could imagine when I was young, I actually had a imaginary friend, you know, because you are just
Titi.
I had one, you know, now they say it's a spirit, but when I was young, I had an imaginary friend that I cooked up because I needed that as a escape for all the trouble I used to get in. So when I'm thinking about, I feel that that's one of the things that really helps to nurture when you have free time. And I find it works with my children. They have a time when they no TV, no gadget, no nothing. You know, the first 5 minutes of that, I see them complaining and mumbling and fumbling and just lamenting about this, their mother of them. In the next 10 minutes, they found something to do. They found something creative. They've started doing all sorts of things, coming up with all sorts of games that they will do that doesn't require anything. And that's just because it gives them free time. And the same with us. When you find yourself creative is when you have nothing to do and then you're kind of bored and you can just come up and start thinking of things. So free time is one way to actually nurture your child's creativity, where you just tell them to be. You know, you can give them stuff and just say, do anything you want with it, like a safety chick was saying. Give them an activity box. Just give them something and tell them be. Give them pencils and say, just do something. So free time is actually very good in nurturing creativity.
Fantastic. I know I didn't have imaginary friend, but I knew that I I used to also, how do I put it now? You know, I used to beat plants with cane, you know, all those. I'll talk to the plant like a teacher and say, you, I told you to do this, you did not do it. Give me your hand. And then I'll beat the leaf. I'll be there's a day I did that thing will I call that a neighbor? Where there's a compound that has a lot of flowers that we used to break branches. I remember the landlord there had to chase me away because I've almost killed all the plants there in the neighbor. You know, I just mimic what they used to do to us in school. I say you, and then I now carry the cane. I beat. At some point in time, you think that maybe I've lost my mind, but you know, thank God we turned out differently. Anyways, so fantastic point from Titi.
So that means you saw a lot of beating. So imagine if maybe your teachers were always doing something else. Go home and want to
Safety
try
check.
that
This
again.
is not therapy. I didn't see a lot of beating. I'm just telling you one of the things. Just like the Titi see a lot of ghosts. So I have imaginary. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
So we have Eben in the building. Eben with his new haircut. He's just got back from Las Vegas, Nevada. And did he go and share flyers in Las Vegas? Eben, you look like you're sharing flyers. If your nice hair, I thought you cut your hair at first. I was scared. I was like, oh my God, what happened? If you lost some hair. Okay. So if you're
Good
joining
morning,
us,
everyone.
yeah, Good Morning Education Show. We're treating an interesting topic, and it's how to raise and nurture creative children. And I'm sure the creative person, CME, Creative Mind Educators, is in the building. and I know Eben will have something to say. Obviously, from personal experience, I'd like Eben to share with us, what would you consider the way or the method to approach raising and nurturing creative children? Then I come back to Ifyok.
Good morning everyone. Good morning, Titi. Good morning, Mr. Roti. Me. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Sas. When I saw the topic, I did not even know that we are talking about creativity today. I just decided that let me try all my best to show up this morning. Immediately, I went back to the group and I saw nurturing children's creativity. I said, I hope Mr. Roti will not use the word you are here because it is your subject matter this morning. I know, I obviously want to tell you that before you tell me back. So, one of the way I think one of the method I think everybody has to actually work on for now is by creating an enabling environment for creativity. So what do I mean by enabling environment for creativity? Talking about the kind of environment you create for children, it can actually make them think out of the box. It can also make them to actually seize a lot of things that they can actually copy back. I want to use Nigeria. You observe that there are so many things going on in Nigeria right now in terms of making sure that there are infrastructures around the country to enable people to see what is globally accepted all over the world. I was at Yaba recently and I saw a very gigantic 2 building and I was like, wow, this is massive. I was like telling my wife, you need to be there. You need to be there. And then that is what I call environmental creativity. And then some of those things actually makes us to think that, yes, we can make this possible. This is possible. And those things also can nurture creativity out of children. As I do use my quote every day, that what you see is what will go out of you. You can't create a vacuum and be expecting the child to be creative. Even your living room should have a taste of creativity. Your car itself should have a taste of creativity. Creativity should be something that a child should be seeing every day. And also, when we talk about the environment too, it should be a time that we should be addressing creativity at home, in school, and more. At home, there should be a time for art and craft. Art and craft is out of our curriculum. When I talk about art and craft, I'm not talking about some of those cardboard things anymore. I'm talking about functional art and craft. It can even be cake. Maybe on that Saturday, you just decided you want to bake cake. And then that cake, you want to use that cake to form a lot of things. And then by the time they bake cake in form of different shapes, the children will be amazed, Creativity is wide, and we can actually try as much as possible to make sure that children see those things every day, because what you see, as I said, is what you mimic. And by the time you put all those things around us in the whole of the school environment, home, everywhere the children goes, the children will surely mimic those things and it will turn to their output.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eben. Thank you for confessing indirectly that you came out because of a topic. The Lord will forgive your sins from Las Vegas, Nevada. Ching, ching. All right. So welcome, Ifyok. Welcome, New Look. We're waiting for the red on your hair. But I'm sure before tomorrow we'll see a red fluffy painting on your hair. So if Eben mentioned the environment, I want you to stress a bit on that in raising and nurturing creative children, we have to explore the environment. How do we do that? What method can we apply? What strategies can we put in place? Being an educator, both here and also, of course, you've been an educator in the abroad, as we call it. You're ambassador to the UAE. So what's your take, please?
Well, okay, let me start here from the angle of enablement. Okay, so Titi talked about, because I tuned in a little bit before coming on here. Titi talked about enablement, and Eben also talked about an enabling environment. So there are two ways to this. the environment, the external environment around the child, and also the internal environment. Let me start from the internal environment, because that is what affects how the child will respond to his or her external environment. So talking about experiences, having a variety of experiences is what strengthens the child's neural pathways. Okay, so let me approach this from a scientific angle, okay? Because as a child grows, each experience, every touch, everything he or she sees, every sound he or she hears, everything that goes on externally around the child helps to strengthen and create new neural pathways. This is what defines how a child will turn out, how the child sees the world. Does the child see possibilities? Does the child see limiting factors? So two things come here with regards to the environment: enablement or crippling, or should I say, use the word crippling. What does the child perceive from his or her environment? Does the child how do I put this? Does the child see possibilities? Do you, as a parent or an educator, stop the child? Do you allow space for things like boredom? I'm not going to say cramp up the child's day and activities with your own plans. So work from the angle of understanding child development. What does that child need at that time in his or her life, or age and stage of development? That's what's going to help you drive and nurture the creativity that that child needs. So one, do not cramp up children's time and space with planning. Okay, so this is one aspect that I usually have issues with teachers. When you do your planning, it's nice to have a plan, but do you allow space for individuality? Do you just say, okay, this is the plan, it has to go like this? Or do you watch out for what the children are yearning to learn from? Because the children themselves will tell you, this is what we're yearning to learn. And when you allow that space for the child to learn from his or her own self, then you will nurture creativity. So allow space for boredom, because boredom is the parent of creativity. When you do not allow the child to have time for his or herself, they may not be able to dig deep into their thoughts, allow their intellect to develop, to grow. So that's one.
Sorry, let me cut you just a second, Ifyo. You mentioned something very important. You said allow space for boredom. I want you to help parents out there and educators out there. Can you break it into a more simpler approach, specifics, right? How do we, because it comes to mind when you say allow space for boredom, how can boredom in itself come out as something right? It doesn't sound right, but how do you get to allow space for boredom? And how do boredom become a tool in your hand to nurture creativity?
Okay, all right. Thank you. So there's a lot to this, and so I know that there's that tendency to just touch on the periphery and move on. But okay, let me touch down on that. So what boredom does is, and now especially with the pandemic and all that, I hear my children say, "Mommy, I'm bored," and I know a lot of parents are going through this. A lot of educators, I'm bored. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I have classes online like this, and the children are like, miss, we're bored, we don't like this lesson. And then I'm like, okay, what would you like? So I think it's empowering the children, allow them to dig into their thoughts, take them through their thought processes, okay? Find out, ask open-ended questions, because that way you get them to express what exactly is in their mind. And that's how you guide. That's our place as teachers and as parents. Our job is not, I usually say my job is not to tell you what to do or to help or to help you. But my job is to help you to help yourself. So how do I do that? It's by finding out, allow the children to express themselves verbally, and otherwise. So if a child comes to you, for example, and says, "Mommy, I'm bored," or "Miss, I'm bored," throw it back to the child and say, "Okay, what would you rather do at this time?" And take it from there. Build the conversation. It's called scaffolding. So you scaffold on what the child already knows or what the child is already building up in his or her mind or his or her intellect. And then you can then scaffold on that learning and take it to the next level. So for parents, do not plan activities, and for teachers as well in the classroom. Actually, in my classroom, I have a space there. It's called free time, free play, where the children are free to do anything they want within the confines of, the class rules and space. So when that happens, you allow the child space to think. I even have thinking time. So you allow the child space to think, and what comes out of that is what you then work with. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much. That's so profound. Having thinking time, having all those things, so profound. Thank you so much. I'm sure that Titi has something to say, based on the fact that you also touched on something that Titi is always advocating for, which is having thinking time. So Titi, would you like to step into, just spend time as a parent? How do we get to institute or integrate thinking time in the home, or thinking time when we spend time with the children?
Rotimi, I was asking this jam question, but why do you like to give me jam questions? But I think I think it's in what we've said so far, really, because when you do give them free time, the kids are always thinking. When you do give them free time, then they think of things to do. When you give them creative things that they can make anything out of, you've not defined what they need to make for it. And I do say that when you actually also give experiences, you'll be amazed. An experience could be something as simple as going to the park. It could be something as simple as going to botanical garden. I mean, I remember when I went in Dubai, what's that awesome garden? My creative juices were saying, if someone could create this kind of thing, my mind just started going crazy, in terms of thinking. So I'm one big on, exposing your kids to different experiences. And I like the question that someone said that, did we watch the Leke Alda video during the weekend? I actually saw the video that says that, just that the fact that your child is good in physics, maths, and chemistry doesn't mean he should be a doctor. He can still want to do art despite the fact he's good in those things. Our role as parents is to really give them lots of expressions, lots of medium for expressions, and then it's up to them to choose the one that they are passionate about. That your child can do a number of things doesn't mean that's it. What's really important are what we call the 21st century skills, and it's really about giving them the opportunities for critical thinking, for creativity, exposing them to so many things, encouraging them to ask questions, because that's really what also promotes creativity. When you get your kids to ask, always ask questions. Do not be happy with, this is what they say it is, or this is how they've been doing it. When they start this thing early, they would typically be more creative. When they ask, but must it be like this, mommy? Can I do it like this? So those are, for me, some of the things. But you need to give them room to be bored and give them room, free time. That it's not gadgets, it's not just time. Those free times are usually when they are creative. It's amazing. So for me, I think that's what I would say. That's so that other people can, this is a topic that needs a part 2.
Yes, I agree. I sincerely agree with that, Titi. It does need a part 2.
Titi and a part 2 advocacy. It's the second topic that you're talking about, to have a part 2. All right. So before we bring this to a close, I would like everyone to give their parting words or parting shots on this fact that creativity is something important. How to raise and nurture creativity in children? I'm going to start with Fee. I'm going to go to KK. I'm coming to Safety Chick. I'm going to Eben. I'm coming to Ifyok, and I'm coming again to Dr. Titi. So starting with Fini. Fini, over to you.
I would say that we should let children be. We should let children explore. We should let children expand their mind. The number of no's that we say to children in a day is enough to shut down anybody's creativity.
Yeah.
So as parents, as teachers, we should begin to rethink and rejig the way we say no. We could actually say yes to say no without confusing the kids, but we can let them know that you can't do this thing, though in a positive way. You can't have the book right now, but could you do something else in the time being? Let's help them expand their mind. Let's help them expand their thinking and really let them be.
I love that. Let them be. Expand their mind, expand their world, let them be. Like Sonia, they will say, let them say. But this time I'll let them be before you let them say. All right. Next person.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for this topic, Rotimi. I thought it was it's very important because, as being said, we need to let them be. But what I found is that letting them be must come from a place of being prepared. So I will always come from the position of the educator and just how do we make this happen? So we need to be prepared, right? So it means like if you have said having time in the classroom where you've actually built in thinking, built in imagination time for the students such that they know it is part of their day, right? Another way is, again, when the teacher is creating those lesson plans, she needs to have a strike your imagination moment, right? And so begin each lesson. For example, I don't need air to breathe. And they have the children think about that and they're like, of course you need air. Sorry, I don't need air to live. I'm like, of course you need air to live. Do I? Think about it, guys, and then let them begin to think. It might seem like it is something that, of course, they have the answer to, but just helping them understand the fact that I need you to think about it for a minute, starts something on the inside of them, and that's where that preparation starts from. So first of all, the teacher giving room to the students to actually prepare, and then there's the period of actually saying, oh, you know what, I have this inside you, and then asking them, so tell me what you think. Right, and that's laying the foundation of saying, let's build upon what you have, can I use the word incubated, right? And then they now say, oh, you know what, my thoughts are valid. And just letting people know that your thoughts are valid. You can lead with your imagination. There's nothing wrong with you visualizing. It gives them permission almost to not be ordinary, to not have to be the same as everybody else. And because my thoughts will be definitely different from yours. So that's something that we can also do, right? And then helping them connect this imagination that they've had to a reality. Okay, so those are the three things that I would say, because those three actually validates what is on the inside of them, which is totally unique and they can do amazing things with. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone. It's been such a powerful conversation this morning. And back to you, Rotimi.
And thank you for your powerful dress this morning. It's just a wonderful one. Thank you, Kiki. All right. Okay, so next person, please. Party short, safe to take, I believe.
Yes. Okay, so I'll just say that when you, again, reiterating what I mentioned earlier, that as parents, when you see something in your child that maybe you're not sure about, it seems to put you, that's your opportunity to think about what they can do, what are the various opportunities, what can they learn, how can you harness that thing in a positive way. And so for you to be able to do that, then that means you need to create an enabling environment for them. So when you think like that, you will not see it as a sign of distress. Instead, you're already seeing that, okay, there's a way to harness this in a more positive direction.
I love the way you just stood out to take care of the parents' dynamics. Parents need to think to harness. I love that because it's not remote and it shouldn't be just past referencing. But children are different and the times have changed. Thank you for that. The safety chip is always helping us to stay safe, and that's why we need to think so that we can harness. Think so that we can harness. Fantastic work from the safety chick. I don't know why your voice has been so gentle this morning. It's like you just feel like just breathe, blowing this gentle breeze. You're acting like the Holy Spirit today. Ladies and gentlemen, think.
Holy Spirit is my mentor.
Oh my God. I feel like speaking in tongues. All right. So Iben, over to you.
Oh, my mic. So my advice for every teacher out there and parents is that we should avoid lessons that are actually not from the child's word, or a lesson that the child are not actually interested in. Or let me use the word, to avoid a kind of a lesson that the child is not interested in. And also try your best as much as possible to do away with the normal routine in terms of our worksheets, writing on the board every time, and so many of those normal routine, and bringing innovation. Like one of the innovation I actually brought in one of the school I work for is to bring in the art from the digital angle. The children normally see art as drawing on paper every day. So I decided to now bring the art from the digital world. So instead of drawing on paper, we are now using Microsoft Paint. Instead of creating a lot of stuff, we now use Canva as creating a lot of stuff, a lot of activities. So at the end of the day, we print it out, and the children see their work. And then what I'm doing with that is to actually bring in the interest of the children, their present interest right now to learning. And I know everybody can also put that into reality in their various area of specialization. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then, of course, Ifyok. Your mic is on mute.
Sorry about that. So I'm just going to say that we should bear in mind as parents and educators that creativity is actually it's a multidimensional area. It's a multidimensional domain, and it could be expressed and executed in different fields, in the arts, the science, in anything, business innovation and all that. So bear that in mind, so that way you do not limit children to any particular aspect, because what you term as creativity for a child may be different from what that child really needs or what that child is trying to express. So this is what okay, let's not go into that. Okay, so just bear in mind that creativity is multidimensional, and two things birth creativity. Well, based on what I'm talking about now, flexibility and persistence. So being flexible as a parent and as an educator will allow you room, or allow the child room to explore. And being persistent is you guiding that child to follow through with whatever he or she has planned to do in his or her mind. That's where we come in as parents and educators, to nurture whatever that child is trying to express. So flexibility and persistence, those two things together will birth or nurture creativity. So I'll
Rotimi, let me jump in right there. Thank you so much, Fee, for bringing for bringing that very fantastic element. Every time we think about creativity, a lot of times we move it into what's the realm of the arts, and it's not necessarily so. So there's STEAM, right? So science is I mean, look at what Titi is doing. It's fabulous, and it has not necessarily, it's a combination of not just arts but the sciences as well. So something that we do, and that's something every educator listening to this can do right now, is when we create our schemes of work for every single term, we add a STEAM element. It doesn't matter if it is mathematics, there's a STEAM element into it. So how would you imagine that this would happen in the classroom? This would happen outdoor. So they begin to understand the fact that these things that we're doing is not just in my textbook, right? I can see the applications in everyday real life. So I just wanted to quickly piggyback off, if you all can say that. Back to you, Rotimi. Thank you.
Okay. Please allow me again. Just the last one. I don't do this. Just Okay, as the last born,
I think it's
as the
about the
Then I
last
will
color.
come in
born.
too.
Okay,
I
okay.
will come in too, please.
Okay, good. So there
Last
are
one,
three
yeah,
things
last
I want. So, three things. There are three levels, okay, of increasing cognitive development. Okay, sorry, I keep bringing in the science into it, but that's where it all starts, and that is the basis. So once you understand this, then guiding children and nurturing them will be, easier. So two things: observational learning. I'll just mention it, observational learning, both on your part as an educator or as a parent and on the part of the child. Two, novelty, okay, and innovative behavior. Those three things. So let me start from novelty, observational learning, and innovative behavior. That is the pathway to creativity. I may need time to break it down, but just take it: novelty, observational learning, and innovative behavior. Encouraging that innovative behavior, encouraging the child to learn from his or her observations of the environment, and encouraging the child to come up with something new that he has not seen before. Those three things are an everyday, something you can apply every day to guide the child towards creativity. And out.
All right. Okay, I think whenever you guys put on this type of color, I would be observant. I will be creative about my questions, and it will be a novel episode on that day. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have
Sorry.
Titi to wrap up.
Okay.
Eben wanted to jump in.
Oh,
Ibe.
Las
okay. So,
Vegas,
Eben, 10
Nevada.
seconds. 10 seconds. Eben, 10 seconds.
Your mic is
10
muted,
seconds.
Eben.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. The arts, a lot of people see art as just the major form of achieving creativity in a child. Yes, we all know that. But there's something that we need to know is that art itself is creativity. Because when you check all the process of art, the process at which you use to produce an artwork itself, all those processes develop beyond creativity in you. And there's nothing you want to create without creativity. It's a scientist that actually want to invent a plane, invent a car, need creativity from the art to create those things. So art can never be neglected from creativity. Or let me use the word, art itself has about 60% in creativity. I think I want to add the art this morning. And the network is this over. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, then let me see before more people have brainwaves. Okay, I think for everyone listening out there, creativity is the new currency. We talked about 21st century skill, and I think we'll keep talking about it. But creativity is the new currency when it comes to bringing up your children. It's something that you must be intentional about in helping them be creative. And as everybody has said, creativity is not only the arts. Creative is in everything they do. As a parent, 4 key things I want to leave with you on what you need to consciously be doing. The first one is ensure that they have this what we call free time, unstructured time that is not planned, for them to help with their creativity. Second is reduce screen time. You must have time that is, they have no screen time. It just helps with their creativity. I think also when you're buying toys for them, buy what we call open-ended toys. So a good one is when you buy them Lego. There are various answers to. There are various things they can create with the same thing. Those are like open-ended toys. And then the last thing I would say is encourage them to ask questions. Let them know that questioning is very important. Let them always question things. Why is it this? Why was it done like this? Must it be this? Because behind questioning is curiosity, which is one of the key foundational blocks for creativity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Although I need to draw your attention as we draw the show, cutting on the show. Titi has given us a very good way to end. But Titi, could you just help parents understand what you mean by open-ended toys? Because that sounds a little bit like a PhD level. I know you're a doctor, but could you undoctor that, please?
I get the example when you buy your child building blocks. The building blocks doesn't, you don't have one answer. So that means it's open-ended. They can create so many things from the same block. But when you buy a toy that it has a fixed answer, then, your creativity is limited. The person has to create exactly what they see. So those are open-ended. Lego is just a perfect example that comes to mind. Things that they can do, and there are various answers to. That is, open-ended toys. So Lego is a good one. Lego is a must. That must be continuously through the life of the child, buying them all those things that just, allow them to create various things.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You've added an extra 30 minutes to the regular 1 hour because today's a special episode. We have people with special hairstyles, special clothes, special visitation. It's a special show. We've had a great time today. I would like to thank our analyst, our guest, who came in all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Eben, thank you very much. We have our guest all the way from UAE, United Arab Emirates, with a lovely hairstyle waiting to be colored, Ifyok Ikeago. We have also Ugochi, who had been having a flash smile with a soft, gentle, breezy voice as the Holy Spirit, and she's here today. Thank you, Ugochi. We have Feinfolu smiling like a principal who just got an alert from our employer. Thank you very much. We have, of course, the ever-present dancing one-woman republic, the only president of the Education Republic, Okay Fajai, KK by name, with her swaggy dress and everything. And of course, the doctor, CKK, she's showing us, she's showing. And of course, the hidden doctor that has one signature. When you hear hello, that hello can give you visa as her name, Dr. Titi Adeosi. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a way of signing off the show, and the ladies are the ones in charge of that. I just need to just tell them, and they go ahead. So it is off my hands, as they say.
It's
always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.